Hey everybody, quick little update on the Atwater Kent. Anybody who's following? Ever since I got the chassis together, let me flip this dude around here. Everything since I got this thing together and tried to do an alignment on it, tried listening to stuff, it was super squirrely. I mean, it was chasing its tail. Was an old term that you use for oscillation. It seemed to be picking itself up and just really weird oscillations and stuff like that. It just sounded like crap. It was anytime you touch an alignment point in the IF cans or in the tuning section right here, it just written really nuts. Really, it just couldn't put my finger on it. I mean, it was horrible. I had to detune it just to get it to pick up stations. And it bugged me. I thought maybe the RF section had too much gain, maybe something issue with the AGC, but I played with the AGC circuit, or the AVC, more like AVC, automatic volume control, but the AGC or AVC on these things, basically all it does, my hat's all crooked, basically what it does is as you get a strong signal, the AVC will send a voltage negative it will send a negative voltage back to the front end, which is let's see if I can do that, this tube, this one, and this one. It will send a negative voltage to the grids of those tubes, making them amplify less. In other words, it's reverse bias, not reverse bias, and it's biasing the tube off, reducing the gain. Well, I thought maybe it was just had too much gain, but I got to play in. I put a negative voltage, variable voltage source on there, and played with the gain. It wasn't the AVC. So, you know, I've been doing electronics. I'm 60. I've been doing it since I was 12, and I've been in it long enough to have this little voice. The little voice in my head says, you know, these tubes are mighty old, and you might want to swap them around. So this front end, I guess Atwater Kent at the time had a special on 58 tubes. So what I did, you got to listen to that little voice in your head sometimes. The little voice is just silently sitting there saying, hey, Bubba, this is what you need to do. But I'm looking for something. Bear with me. 1,350,000 sheets of paper here. Anyway, what I did is I swapped the first IF and second IF tube. And let me flip this back around. I swapped this tube with this tube, this tube with this tube. They're the same exact tube, okay? Same exact part. And lo and behold, my birdies went away, my self-oscillation went away. I was able to tune. Oh, that's the other thing. The tuning adjustments way off on this thing, and if you turned it, adjusted it too much, it would just start squealing, just go crazy. But anyway, when I swapped those two tubes, everything changed. I went back in and done another alignment, and basically here's what I did. Let me get you set up here. This tube right here is the oscillator. Let me go through this real quick. Let me see here. I remember how to do it. Yeah, this was the oscillator. This is the RF tube. Okay, and then coming back over here was the first detector. This one here was the first IF, second IF. Alright, and then this one here was the second detector and first AF, and then this is the audio output tube, and this was the rectifier tube. But anyway, switched these two tubes around. Boom. Then it I didn't hear any noise or oscillation or anything like that. Now, the way I aligned this thing to begin with, is this tube. This is the grid. This is grids on each one of these 58s here. Anyway, I just pull the grid loose and leave it off. That kills the oscillator tube. And then I come over here and inject with my signal generator with this probe, this little capacitive insertion probe. Okay, 472.5 kilocycles is the IF on these things. But anyway, I clipped it right here and referenced it to ground, just the outside case of this coil right here, this transformer, excuse me. So I started there with 472.5 kilohertz. Then I started raising the output level, which is on this. Is my little RCA right here, the output RF attenuation. I raised the output level till I could hear a tone. Then I started here. That's the adjustments inside these cans. I started here. I had a signal loud enough I could hear the tone, but not too loud. You don't want to put too much signal when you're tuning these. I started here, peaked these, went here, peaked these, went here, peaked these. I started getting a lot more gain. A lot started sounding better. Raised my signal up a little bit to where I actually lowered it a little bit. Started over. Peak those, peak those, peak those. Turn my level down a little bit more. Peak those, peak those, peak those. And I kept going until I couldn't get any more improvement. Once I did that, I disconnected my generator. Put all the covers back on. Hooked my antenna up to a little short piece of wire. Of course, I had to turn these fluorescent lights off because they generate a god-awful amount of RF noise. But anyway, this set sounds fantastic. I got rid of the RF interference, the self-generated, I call them birdies. It's just self-oscillation is what it was. So if you have one that you restore, first, before you pull any tubes out, get you some tape, just little blue carpenter's tape. Put on each tube and mark what their function is, like first detector, second detector. You want to put those tubes, now this is just a suggestion, it ain't no rule, but this might help you out, because when the set quit, it was working fine. Something caused it to quit, who knows what, but just mark those tubes, first detector, second detector, oscillator, RF, whatever. That way when you restore it, you can put those tubes back where they come from, and you probably won't have this problem. But these tubes are different. These are different brand tubes in here. They wasn't all the same. And one tube probably has, now there's a microphonic tube in here, but it still works. A microphonic tube means you can tap on it and you can hear the tap. Now, being I haven't never dealt with a 58 tube before, because I've never worked on this old, I don't know. It could be, that could be just how they are. And anyway, getting off the story here, I switched those two tubes and everything worked better. Like I said, those tubes are different brands. There could be differences in them. One was probably had a little issue that circuit didn't like, but in the other circuit, changed the socket, moved it to another location. It liked it. It liked living there. The other one liked where it went. Everything's happy. This radio now picking up stations that, just inside this metal building, a little short piece of wire, I was picking up different stations from other areas I don't normally hear on radio around here. So I'm quite happy with how this thing turned out. So I just wanted to offer that to you if you care to listen. If you overhaul one of these things and you got this weird oscillation and you tune to a station and just go rawr, and just sounds like crap. Sounds like two cats fighting at night. Consider that. Consider, just swapping a couple of tubes around in that circuit. Like this was apparently it was coming from the IF, because that's where the IF cans are tuning. And that's another clue that I had, was one of the IF2, the second IF transformers, where the capacitor gangs had to go all the way in. That would bug me. I just say you shouldn't have to tune a trimmer capacitor that bad, that tight. So, but when I swap these tubes that tune properly, the tuning capacitors where they were not tight, they tune like they should have. After you do this stuff a while, you'll notice how things should feel, and that bugged me. And I've had this radio together now for about a month, ever since this last video of mine. It's just been sitting on my workbench on my little car over here. I was happy with it. I figured that's just the way these radios were. I mean, I've never worked on one. I didn't know how they're, what they were like, but I do now. Now I know how sweet they can be. It's amazing how good this radio sounds. So anyway, I'm done with that. The chassis, I mean, let me turn it back around. Sorry about my hand anyway. I'm done with the chassis. The chassis turned out really good. When I painted this should have been a light brown. I didn't realize it at the time, but should have been a light brown. It should have been more like this guy, if you can see it. Now this is the original color of this. When I pulled the covers off this transformer, I just cleaned them up and then just sprayed clear enamel, clear coat on them, because I didn't want to repaint those. I think it looks really good. The speaker looks good, even though it is black. But this thing had a lot of work. As a matter of fact, I took the chassis. Oh, this thing was a pain in the rear. It was just so much corrosion on it. Finally, I got it to where it looked decent, and I just sprayed clear lacquer on it after I got done with everything, and it works. It looks good. It looks 1,000 times better. So anyway, getting back to what I was talking about. It's just a little voice in my head. Like I say, I've been in the service. I started out in radio TV years ago, back in the late 70s. But I've worked on a lot of equipment. And I've gained a lot of experience. And you just get an intuition, and I decided, I'm going to swap these two tubes and see what happens. I mean, it couldn't hurt nothing. They were the same tubes. So, matter of fact, I had wrote on them with red pens, and the numbers were still on there. So I was going to, if this didn't work, I was going to find my piece of my note that had the tube numbers on them. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, So I couldn't find my notes. They're around here somewhere. See all the thousands of papers. If this didn't. But anyway, changing those two tubes around made all the difference in the world. And like I said a few minutes ago, that all has to do with probably how the tube is aged, or the tube might have a little gas in it that the circuit didn't like, or it may have been the characteristics of that tube, because like I said, they're different brands, and it could have had something to do with that. But sometimes you just have to do stuff just kind of it's just how the world is. Things just work. I mean, I can't, we could go into a long discussion about inter-electrode capacitances, the shape of the tube and all this kind of stuff, but honestly, when it just boils down to it simplistically, sometimes you can do that. There's transistors that don't like one circuit and you put in another. There's tubes that you can check on your tube checker that check perfectly fine but won't work in a video circuit, but it'll work just fine in a different circuit. So it's all just a matter of doing what works. And that's what I did. It was an experiment. It's been bugging me, and I've got it, and I'm really happy now. This is, by the way, this is my new line cord I got for this. I love it. I've got this thing restored pretty good. Let's see if I can turn this around without breaking my... This is the front of the radio, in case anybody is wondering. This is the speaker, and that's my repair. I elected not to paint it because nobody's ever going to see that. I want it to work. I don't. It's not in a fashion show. And then the other thing that I've got to work on is this is the final part of it. This is something I've never done. I'm not good at it. I'm not bad at it. I don't know, but got some issues here. As you can see, issues here. A little bit. This is just the inside of it. Got a little issue here. I've got some fairly big issues here. I've had some people give me some advice. Basically, they tell me to basically, if I understood right, and this is what I'm probably going to do, I'm going to start from, go exactly across here and break it here. Matter of fact, there's a junction right there. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a junction. I'm going to pull this little section off, find me another piece of veneer to go on there and glue it back down. Now, of course, I've got this little issue right here where it's taking a little beating, so I've got to do something with that. Otherwise, the front of this looks good. I forgot what they call this right here. I'm not sure. Somebody gave me a source where to get one of those, so I got to fix that, fix that, fix that. And then let's see. On the back here, it's pretty good. Let me get this stuff out of the way. This is where the grill cloth went right here, and this is the tuning dial indicator right here. Believe it or not, not much to this one, but oh my gosh, this was beautiful grill cloth on here, and I was hoping I could save it because it really didn't. It had one little bad spot in it, but it was just so old, guys, that it just deteriorated. But it was beautiful. It had gold inset in it, so I haven't found anything like that yet, but I'm looking, so I'm going to find it. But anyway, getting back to the chat, they apparently had if you see right here, it had a piece of wood in the back to reinforce the back. I don't know. There's probably a name for it. I don't know what it is, but I've got to fix that too. I can turn that around. You know, and here's the back of, they call that a name too. Pardon me, I just don't remember. I've got to fix that too. It's kind of broke off right here. So I got my work cut out for me. I'll learn a lot. Then once I get all that done, then I've got to refinish it, and that's something else I don't know. This thing may have been redone at some time. It's got, as you can see, I don't know, the light's kind of poor here. But it's going to be a beautiful radio once I get it done. And it appears to be a good performer now. So that's where I'm at with this Atwater Kent. So, that may be an interesting video. My first videos on this Atwater Kent, they turn out really long, and I've watched these things. You know, I'm not... Some of my longest videos I've ever done, and I know they're probably long, and I know I probably bore everybody, but I want my videos to be entertaining. I want to just share my information with everybody else, and maybe somebody can find some useful information out of this. And I promise I'm going to try to make my videos shorter. And like this one here is just supposed to be a 5-minute thing, and I find myself rambling on again. I just wanted to share that little bit with you guys. If you have I guess the whole thing about this little short is, if you restore a radio, mark your tubes, put them back where they come from, exactly where they come from, and you know, if they're the same, like these were all 58s in that RF section. So mark where they come from, put them out of the way, and when you get ready to put your radio back together, put them back where they come from, and everything should work. In this case right here, like I said 100 times already, I just swapped 2 tubes around and everything changed, and it worked. It picked up stations. I'm happy. So if y'all have an issue like that where it's squirrely and making oscillations, just sounds like a couple of cats in the alley fighting, you might want to try that. It just don't take but just a minute to do it, and may save you a lot of heartache. Anyway, you guys have a good day and have a Merry Christmas, and I'll see you on the next one. The next one should be probably next year sometime, when I get brave enough to do the cabinet. So that's going to be next for this one, because I'm ready to get that project finished, because I got several more to do. Anyway, behave, take care. God loves you. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Bye.